comments in a minute, but it's a nice day today, and I just hope everybody is just doing really, really well. It's been a rough 30 plus days, and the strength and dexterity and the unity of the Palisadian people is just tremendous. I'll say from the conversations, and this is just me babbling on for those of you who know me, the comments I've heard from so many people on all levels is the Palisadians are so unique. They're just so sophisticated. They're working together. They're kind. Out of the blue, they come up and say thank you. And these are the kind of things that make our community so different than most others, and what I think keeps our bond real tight. So it's 3:03. I'm going to give it about another 2 minutes for everybody to get on board. And I'll say to those of you, quite a significant number. You've got my number. Don't hesitate to call me if there's a question. I probably get 20 calls a day on behalf of the Pally Strong organization, which we are Pally Strong. It's just a group of us that have, loved helping answer questions from the early days of taking water and food and items up into the hills on that next Wednesday to people who are staying. And feel free to reach out. I really do want to also get a sense from our community. If we do this twice a week, where we have focused conversations that are straight talk, times that work for you. So if you can just ping me, say 3 p.m. Saturday, that's great. If you're thinking 5 p.m. Saturday is great. If there's a day of the week, we want to try and find a sweet spot that we can accommodate everybody's questions. So we got quite a few people here, several hundred. So happy to see everybody. Again, we are all one team. We are Pally Strong. With that being said, let's move into the agenda. So good afternoon, Pally Strong community. First of all, with all the headaches of all the awkward living accommodations, example, in the hotel room here, there's 5 of us, and you've had the opportunity to see my little 5-month-old boy. I keep saying 4-month, realizing it's 5 months. But we're sorting that out in a week to move to a larger spot. For the rest of us, trying to get some semblance of normalcy with our kids, with our wives, with our husbands, with our significant others, even with our pets. The challenges of insurance, and most everyone 30 days plus into this and losing a ton of sleep. We are all still reliving some of the horrible memories of what we went through each time we go up to our beloved Palisades homes and seeing the massive destruction. It's heart-wrenching, especially, and there's many out there in the world who haven't seen it and remain concerned that at the point that it may open up, which we do want to see, some form of that done responsibly and reasonably, that people see us as in Disneyland too, which we don't want. We don't want them coming up in that sense. We've gone through so much. But in the context of all that, I want to add from our hearts, from the entire community's hearts, many I've spoken to, we hope that some of you have found some time to share with your family a ton of love for Valentine's Day.
You said the last talk was you were going to talk to.
If not, it's not too late. Just do a little something. Also, please do go to wearepallystrong.com to register for news, events, articles, and any of the latest updates. Again, wearepallystrong.com. Ton of information. This is all residents putting together endless hours just for the sake of the community. So today we have a great agenda as we lean in with Colonel Swenson, who is leading the Army Corps of Engineers in the debris removal in phase 2. He is a stand-up guy who will tell you it is as he knows it. He doesn't hold back. Him and his team have always been extremely direct with all of us and extremely empathetic for what we have gone through. So, Colonel, we deeply appreciate that from the bottom of our hearts. To start with, we have the mayor asked to have Larry Frank, who's a special advisor to the mayor, for 5 minutes to explain an important program for those workers who have helped us day in and day out with unwavering commitment to our families, those gardeners, the housekeepers, the contractors. Reason why we're doing this is the city has a program for them, but has a very limited time frame. So out of deepest respect for the city and the mayor, we wanted to give a little time. Larry's going to explain, and I'll send up a follow-up to everybody with all the data. And also, don't forget, we are always recording this. So we will have it in the library. So no information will be left behind. So that being said, let's move into, and let me footnote, learning this, getting the technology together, still ironing it out. Eventually we'll move. If you are talking or if everybody should be muted. Rules, you all know the rules of engagement. When you want to ask a question, ask it and then go through it, let them speak because the person will pop up. Ambient noise will take us out of the loop. So it's just me right here in the hotel room doing this today. So let's go on. Larry Frank from the Office of the Mayor, welcome. And please, 5 minutes to explain your
Yes.
program.
Hi, everybody. I know you want to get to the amazing Colonel Swenson, so I will be very brief. Um, like the Disaster Recovery Center and the Rebuilding One Stop, the mayor has asked us to do a one-stop for workers and those that are impacted by the fires. So CAL FIRE estimates about 4,000 plus workers were impacted by the Palisades fires alone. We've launched on Thursday, and we're doing our press announcement. We were going to do it last Thursday, but the rains washed that out, on opening these, what we're calling impacted worker and family recovery centers. We have 4 of them because the workers are from all over Los Angeles. There are real resources at these centers. Right now, we have an application open, city county funds, $2,000 per impacted worker. That there is an application process. If they have a Social Security number or an ITIN number, individual tax ID, they can do it online. That's not going to be the case for 80% of the folks that work for you. So in order for them to get the $2,000, right, you're going to be getting, right now, Marion Ensley, who's the area director, is putting some stuff in the chat. But Larry Pally Strong, Larry is going to send stuff out afterwards as well. It will kind of lay out exactly what needs to be done, but we're really dependent upon the people of Palisades to actually reach out to all the workers from the Palisades. We have some contacts, but really you're the ones with those contacts. And there's a template that we have for you that you'll just basically say that this person worked for me. This is who I am. This is my address. This person worked to me and is no longer being able to, is lost the resources I gave them. So there's the $2,000 for impacted worker. There's a disaster CalFresh as well, $250 to $1,500. That's for everyone. They have to actually call over to DPSS. There's a number that'll be provided for you. In California, we have Medi-Cal for all, right? There are real resources available. There's grants for impacted businesses from 2,000 to 25,000 through our business source system. That's also co-located in these 4 locations. For those with the right to work, there's the disaster unemployment claim. That actually, their last day to do that is March the 10th. So we have a kind of a time period where we want to step up. We believe we will get additional cash assistance coming through for a new application, but we have this big one for 2,000 each. That is basically the application has to go through, and they need the attestation form, and then they need to visit one of those 4 centers in order to be able to get that $2,000. So I know it's a big ask. I know you're taking care of yourselves, you're taking care of your families, you're taking care of your neighbors, and you have to decide if you have the bandwidth to do this. But if you do, it is for real, and we really do need your help. So you'll see it, the information, both in the chat with the 4 links, and you'll get it from Larry Vane. And we're also doing a webinar on Tuesday evening that'll explain it all. You'll see in the chat and from Larry, the mayor's webinar on the impacted worker and family recovery centers. Thank you, Larry, for letting us do a quick pitch. Sorry to take your time away from, I know what you have to be focused on, which is actually rebuilding. Thank you very much.
Deeply appreciate that. You kept it within 4 minutes. You guys rock. Marion Ensley is going to post some PDFs in English and Spanish. I'll get it out to you. It's an appropriate thing to do. Let's get it out to our workers. Show the love, show that we're a strong community. Let's set a standard for the future of catastrophes, that we care about our people. So, everybody, you do as you want to do. No one's telling you what to do. That's not what we're about. We're not saying, but we'll get you the information. So thank you. All right. With
Thank you.
that, appreciate that. And with no further ado, Colonel Swenson,
Hey, thanks,
you have
Larry.
the floor.
Hey,
I appreciate it. Just want to let everyone know I'm wearing my Pally Strong sweatshirt. Show my support and resolve to help every community impacted, but in particular, since I'm on a call with Pally Strong, certainly stand together with you. I think many of you have seen me around. I'll just introduce myself for those who might be a new face too. My name is Colonel Eric Swenson. I'm the USACE Wildfire Recovery Field Office Commander. That's a mouthful. We call it the USACE RFO Commander, Recovery Field Office Commander, here for both the Eaton and Palisades wildfire recovery efforts. And I'm laser focused on phase 2. So that's getting all of the private property debris removed from your lots so that you can start the next phase of this journey, which is the rebuilding phase. As Larry said, we decided to call this Straight Talk because if those of you know me, I just kind of, if I can give you an answer, an honest answer from the heart, I will. And if I can, I'll tell you, I don't know the answer and I'll try to find one for you. Right. So I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I'm going to tell it like it is. I may even ask for your help. If you ask me a question that you could be helpful to help me help you get back onto your lots, your clean lots faster. So I don't know what the best method is. If you want, Larry, I can just start with the questions in the chat and just start going out and answering them. If that gets boring, I can take, people who raise their hand, I can take their call. Really, my time is your time. I just want to help people. I want people to leave this web call with their questions answered as best as I can, and a reassurance that the Corps is here to walk with you, to carry you if we have to the finish line, so that you can have a lot that can be, worked on, so that it becomes a buildable lot, and then you can build a home, and that I can come back one day and sit on your front porch, shake your hand, and see the fruits of your hard work over this journey.
That's fantastic. Again, thank you, Colonel. Let's go with the following approach. I think we'll do is we have Jed Weitzman has a question. I'm going to lean in with Jed. Again, I ask for everybody, once you ask a question, please quietly be patient. If you've answered your question, please, let's move on to the next. If you have a small follow-up, keep it brief. And we've got plenty of, we have good time. So, and then I'm copying and pasting. Colonel, if you're looking at the messages, I'm going to copy paste them, but I really, this is community involvement. We want to see people, I'm seeing names I know, Raul Roy, great work that you've done for the community. All right, Jed, let's go. Enough of Larry.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Colonel. Nice to meet you. Larry, thanks so much for putting this together. It's nice to have somebody to reach out to in this process, which is absolutely insane, as we all know. Colonel Swenson, I'm coming to this from a little bit of a different angle, as my home is standing. There are 8 of us in a community of 25 that are standing. I have 17 burnt townhomes, literally 150 yards from my garage. And the only thing that can help me go home is to figure out how to get those removed. All my neighbors have signed ROEs. I don't know if you've been to the Highlands, and I know there is so much work to be done, but Mr. Frank, in keeping with putting people back to work, we're a community in the Highlands with 23 or 24% of the homes that are gone. with a lot of people that want to go home and employ a lot of people in the community, whether it's Juan, my UPS guy, or the guys from Corona who have been doing landscaping up there for 30 plus years. We all just want everybody to go back to work, and I want my kids, like all of us do, to be able to go home. So, Colonel, I don't know if you've been to the Highlands. I'd love to send you a video, or like you said, have you up to my house someday for donuts and coffee for your whole team. I know we all have a lot to get done, but that was, I wanted to come to this from the standpoint of people whose homes are standing, that are sort of waiting for, the stuff that's immediately around them to be taken away, so that the healing and the process can begin to move forward. So thank you for the opportunity to ask the question, and we hope you see you up there soon.
Yeah, thanks, Jed. That's a great question. So I wasn't in the Highlands this morning. I have been in the Highlands. I was over in the Palisades fire impacted area today, looking at 2 homes that started private property debris removal. I actually met a nice couple whose home is surrounded by nothing but lots that have been destroyed. And so they're in a similar situation as you, and they made the decision that they're going to rent a place for a while until the places around them are clear. And they were asking me similar questions. So what I would tell you is we are going to prioritize homes that are standing and try to get the debris removed around that. Now I say priority, but it's a challenge because priority for me is before I get to priority, I have to have EPA phase 1 complete or EPA phase 1 deferred. So one of those 2 statuses, I have to have a right of entry, and then I can start working. So we are actively working with the county to get rights of entry. We're processing them as quickly as we get them in and sending them to our contractor, who is prepared to have a steep ramp so they get to full operating capability. And I think in short order, I'm going to have probably 55 crews working in the Palisades area, and could be more. It is my desire to have sort of a crew in every neighborhood, so to speak, and then weight the neighborhoods, the areas of each neighborhood that have schools that are occupied, senior centers that are occupied, that are near sensitive ecological locations like access to a river, access to the coastline, where we're trying to prevent that material from entering the environment and having a greater risk to the community via water. But I also don't want people to think that, well, none of those apply to me, so you're not going to come do mine. No, that's not what I said. I definitely want to have people everywhere. And I also, if you're the only person in your block that signed up and all of your neighbors have not signed up, it doesn't mean I'm not going to come send a crew to do your property. But if I send a crew to your property and all of your neighbors have signed up, then for me, I'm most efficient and fastest if I don't have to spend time moving my equipment. If I can just keep it in a neighborhood and just keep working around the neighborhood, that to me is the most efficient and fastest for you. Because the more time I spend driving equipment sets around this community, the less time I spend removing debris. So I don't know if that answered your question or not, but I certainly understand your position, and maybe I'll take you up, not on donuts, but maybe I'll take you up and we can drink a cup of coffee from your vantage point, and it'll help me understand the situation that you're in specifically.
And to that note, I don't think we're going to do follow-up calls because we have several hundred people of our community. These are residents. It's not people circling in. So let's move into the next one. Darren Simmons, I'm going to unmute you. Come on in, and what's your question, please?
Thank you, and please excuse me for being off camera. So I leased, and my daughter went to junior high, and she went to Pali and just graduated. And the home that I leased was leveled. The owner is in Italy. I have tried sifting myself, and it's just been absolutely detrimental. So I finally was able to get CSBC to help me out. The environmental, the really bad stuff was removed already. I just want to make sure that I'm going to have enough time to do the PPR before you guys come in. I'm down on Keats. place down Almar, and I just wanted to know if you had a time frame for that area, because I know everybody has signed up, which is great, but I just need time to sift a little bit.
Yeah, I think if you get so if the owner of the property has deferred, given your contact number as the point of contact, then you'll get a call 3 to 5 days out and then 1 day out. I mean, if you are absolutely not ready when that call comes, you just need to let them know, and we'll move you further down on the list.
Okay.
get
Thank
you
you very much.
back
I
up.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go to a question here. I'm going to bounce around. Someone asked a question. They submitted their REO the first day, but still haven't received anything back or an application number for REO. Do you have any knowledge on what that protocol is?
So everyone that submitted it, whether they got an email or not, should be on the list, right? And there's a crew working at the county very hard to get all those properties or ROEs vetted, make sure that they are indeed the rightful owner. There's a couple of data points they needed, deeds and some other things. That's happening. I did put, if you look in the chat, I did put a link to our public viewer. If you type in, there's a search option there. If you type in your address, it uses like the UPS or USPS like lookup system. So if you type your street address and then the first couple letters, your address should pop up, and then you'll find some information about it, whether phase 1 EPA is complete or it's deferred or not done yet. And you'll find out if we have your right of entry. So that just says if I have your right of entry. If I have your right of entry, then within probably a day or two, maybe 3, I will send your right of entry to our contractor to be queued up, assuming that your phase 1 is either complete or it's deferred. Because if it's complete or deferred, it comes to me. So that's the kind of the 2-step process. And that viewer, again, I just rolled it out. We're going to make a public announcement that it's out there soon. But, I hate to roll out public viewers. I like to do a slow start, like opening a restaurant. You never serve your first meal the day you open, right? Because if service isn't where it's supposed to be, no one will come back. So you're getting a little preview of this.
Great.
And, I'll take any feedback you have, but that's one way you can see where your ROE is at.
Well, we appreciate you putting that in advance. Question. So follow up to that is going to be from another person is, if you've already opted in, when can you actually opt out? And what is the protocol to opt out?
Yeah, if you've already opted in and you want to opt out, you have to work with the county on that. I don't control the opt-in. I just get the right of entry from the county, and then that's what triggers me to go. I will tell you that we've already cleared about 4 schools. We started on Pally High today. I know that was referenced earlier. I'm working on 2 currently in Pacific Palisades and a couple over in Eaton. So we are working actively and ramping up. And so you'll see a whole lot more equipment sets out there in the coming days as we go up this steep ramp till we get to sort of fully operational and capable.
Resilient Palisades. Are you ready to unmute? Come on in. Hello.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I hear you.
Hi. Okay, perfect. Sorry. My question, I have a 2-part question. So one is regarding tree removal. There's been a lot of trees that are being removed that are health and safe. They have some minor burns, but they're actually resilient. These trees are prone to survive fire. Under what protocols or guidelines are these trees being removed? A lot of them pose no threat for structures. And we're trying to find out if you guys could contact the local Pacific Palisades Forestry Committee.
Yeah, so it's a great question. Trees are always a challenge in fires. So we balance public health and safety with people's love of trees, and I'm a tree lover. So cutting a tree down, it never makes me happy. But I also don't want to lose anyone because a tree falls. Fires are devastating to trees. Urban fires are horrific to trees. I was out this morning, giant oak tree. The roots were completely on fire. Had been on fire up till just recently. So there's a lot of factors. I don't make the determination. We have a certified arborist, many of which are local, who go out and are on our teams and make a determination. There are 2 different marking systems. There are white lines. Those were put in by the EPA to determine if they thought it was low, medium, or high risk. And if there's an up arrow, it generally means medium to high risk, and there's likely an overhead hazard, like maybe a broken branch. My crews go out and they use blue spray paint. So you'll have blue spray paint, and it'll be a circle at the bottom around a little tag. That's our data tag. That's how we track the trees that have been removed. And then there'll be another blue mark about chest high on the tree, and the tree will get cut somewhere between those two marks. We're working on a program right now where homeowners, during the initial 360 walkthrough could try to opt out of having a particular tree taken, and then sign a waiver saying that they acknowledge that they own the risk. Does that help?
I think that answers. And please type your question or raise your hand again if you feel there's a critical part of your question that's not answered. Put your hand up again. I'll catch it. Robert, I'm going to mute you, and then we'll move into some questions from the chat.
Hi. Good. Thank you very much, Colonel, for all the hard work you and your crews are doing. I know it's monumental. I've got a few questions that I think will be of interest to everybody. One is a follow-up on the tree question. So in our case, we have a very large oak tree. It was a volunteer tree, meaning we didn't plant it, but it's a gorgeous tree. However, I mean, it is completely charred. It's very close to the house, to the point that if we were to put up another house, we would never be able to get fire insurance again. I mean, so would that be, in that case, considered detrimental, and you would most likely take it down, or how would that work?
Yeah, if it hasn't been marked yet, it's because the arborists haven't gotten out there to mark it. But that's a discussion we can have. Especially if it hasn't been marked before they come out and do the work. Definitely a discussion that we can have with the crews. Again, we use local certified arborists. They make a professional judgment decision. Anytime you make a professional judgment decision on whether a tree will survive or not, I mean, you can't stick a thermometer in a tree and take its temperature to see if it's going to make it or not. But we definitely want to work with the landowner. So if it's charred, I think you can make an argument. You might be able to, if we do not designate it to be taken down, maybe you can make an argument that it should.
Right. Okay.
Is there an appeals process within that, and within the decision if it's decided that it's not a threat? But
I think that's a discussion that when the crew calls you for their 3 to 5 day notice, you should make that a point. And then ideally you should show up the first day when they do their assessment. A lot of times we come back and do trees last. We get all the fire ash and debris out, and then we'll come back on with a tree crew specifically. So there's still time. Just gotta work it. Obviously, there's 12,000 plus 13,000 homes out there, so I can't adjudicate 13,000 unique cases. We wouldn't have time. But I think for certain trees, we can make it work.
Right, absolutely. That makes sense. I plan on being there. So if I may have a couple more questions. Things like staircases. So we have a couple of staircases, for example. The house is more on a flat part of the land on top, and then it terraces down. So the staircases are intact. I've used them. They seem perfectly safe. Are you going to leave staircases there that are not part of the foundation? And
yeah, if it's not part of the ash footprint, so to speak, we'll probably leave it. If it does, if we think it doesn't pose a health and safety risk, so we probably would leave it. Again, that's a discussion. These are some of the unique qualities of each house that it's kind of worth having that discussion with. We, like a woman the other day, we did her home in the Eaton fire impacted area, and she had 2 beautiful wrought iron gates that closed, and so we put some plastic down. Once we had finished her land, we put them back down on the ground, and then didn't damage them, and so she'll be able to reuse those when she rebuilds. So we try to work with homeowners as best we can.
Yeah, that would be great. In our case, we just built some custom curved wrought iron railings. They're in concrete footings that are probably 1.5 foot deep or whatever, and they're in perfect shape.
They might even be eligible. So if it's not eligible to breed, we won't take it.
Gotcha.
Robert,
and then
I'm going to come back to you let me come back to you. Let me jump into someone's in the car, and we got to bounce around. So I apologize, but all right. Let me go back to Larry. Sorry, I just had someone took their hand down. Let me get it, that one. Sorry, I just had someone in the car. Okay. I got Kai's iPad. Here we go. You've been asked to unmute. Kai's iPad.
Yes, I am unmuted and I will show. Let's see, here we go. Thank you so much for making this available to us today. My question is, I was in the middle of construction and have active permits and wondering, once the completion of phase 2 happens and the city has approved the clearance of phase 2 for my property, how soon after would I be able to start the rebuild?
Well, it's really a question for the building department, I think, but either LA City, probably LA City. I mean, what I've been hearing from the local building departments is that they're open for business. So as soon as your phase 2 is complete, you should be able to have that permit and start. I would start, obviously. You probably already have your plans because you were in the construction phase. So that part for you is done. So I would just make sure my permit was still good. If not, I'd apply for a new permit. And then as soon as phase 2 is done, I don't want to speak for the county or the city, but from what I've been hearing, you should be able to transition into the phase 3, so to speak. The only challenge could be if you build your house quickly, our power, water, sewer, and gas hooked up. I mean, those are questions. Their utilities are out working right now trying to solve those problems, but that would be something you'd want to kind of phase into your construction to make sure that when you're done building, you're able to actually hook up and then move in.
Excellent. We're going to move to Carl is in his car. Carl, I'm going to mute, ask you to mute.
Hi. How you doing there, Colonel?
Great. You've muted yourself.
Yeah. Be careful not to hit the mute button. Go ahead, Carl.
Okay, there we go. I'm excited to be able to ask you some questions, Colonel. I'm a local arborist, grew up in town, probably know at least 10,000 trees personally throughout the town, along with thousands of houses. You say you're using local arborists. All the arborists I know do not know who you're using. Is there any way we can get a list?
I don't know if I can give you a list, but I can tell you if you go to ecc.net, maybe you can get hired. I know we were just the other day, there was a kind of a community fair down at the county building, county DPW, where a lot of local people who wanted to work, who wanted to get on this job, wanted to work for us, showed up, and I had my small business coordinator there, and we were able to pass them their information to our contractor who was hiring arborists in particular. So that would be another way to participate would be to try to get on their team so that you can bring your local knowledge of your community right to the trees in your community.
Carl, hang tight. We're going to come back to you. I have another one in a car. Catherine Werner, I'm going to ask you to mute. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Catherine Werner from the Miramar Homeowners Association. Colonel Swenson, thank you so much for everything that you do. And Larry, obviously, thank you so much for you. My question goes back to the first question that we had about, making clusters of homes to have debris removal. My question is this: my entire neighborhood, 70 homes, 50% are still standing, 50% burnt down. 2 are currently still inhabited or will be inhabited on Sunday, first time. Everybody has submitted their ROE who needed to submit one. The problem that I see is a little bit in the chain of command here is that the Public Works says we work on the ROEs as they come in. They don't prioritize clusters or ROEs of a neighborhood that has already been inhabited. How is that work? How do they know that this is a neighborhood that is already moving back in?
Yeah, I mean, so I have a really competent contractor that I've hired to do this work. And once I get the right of entry from the county, I will process them internally, send them to my contractor who will look at, we'll look for those clusters. When we have a crew working in that area, they'll just assign those new rights of entry as they come in to those crews that are working in that neighborhood. And then it is my intent to get them to focus on the ones that are closest to standing homes. It's not going to be a perfect system, right? There's 12,000 homes. The standing homes are spread throughout each neighborhood. So I can't, it's not going to be a perfect system, but that is, I sort of give them my intent and then, ask them to try to focus on the homes that are near residents that have been reoccupied. I will say that we are moving quickly. And as soon as, I'd say as soon as another 7 days, I'm likely to have, double or triple the number of crews I have right now out, and that number is going to continue to build. So at one point, we'll probably have 50 homes being cleared every day. And so I know it's not as satisfying as you might like to hear, but we are good at this, and we do want to help the community heal, and we do want to take care of people and give them some buffer space so they feel more comfortable moving back into their home. I know that living in a hotel is not the best living. I know that. I know that because I've spent many, many days in a hotel, so I get it. And we're out to help you. So.
Yeah, him and his team have been held up in hotels as well, doing a long journey. Demir, I'm going to unmute you.
Appreciate that. Thank you for the quick questions and answers here. I have a question about when you're fully ramped up and are ready to go through this process. What will be your kind of target clearance per day, month, year? I hope it doesn't take years, but I'm trying to get a sense of what's a good. We're trying to manage people's expectation, or at least, I'm looking to rebuild, but I don't have any idea how long this is going to take to even get to me, even if it's just random or clustered or prioritized, whatever. What would be your best guess now that you've seen what the devastation is and mapped out what needs to be done? There are people that are going to be opting in. I think you have a lot of that information. So my question is, have you put into a schedule as to what your clearance rates would be, at fully ramped up and kind of working on this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's say when we're fully ramped up, it'll be hopefully a minimum of 25 to 40 homes a day. It depends on how many crews I get. I mean, one of the things we don't fully understand is the carrying capacity of the routes and the landfills. So, there's a lot of factors out there like traffic, time of day. So we're trying desperately to work to get priority and work our schedule that minimizes our impact to other commuters who are using the road. We also have to deconflict between the utilities who are out trying to do work. So we have all these different things constraints that we're working around. But it is absolutely my intent to be done in 1 year. And I think those who are in the last quarter of that year will be because they were either late adopters, they didn't sign up to the last minute, or they had some kind of a legal snafu that prevented us from getting the right of entry in a reasonable amount of time. I'm going to build. There's almost a limitless labor market in LA County. So it's not about getting enough crews. It's about being able to put all the crews and the trucks on the roads and getting them to the landfills or the recycling centers. So I won't be able to give you a better answer on that until I get going a little more. Plus, obviously atmospheric rivers can slow operations, because the three things that cause me to sort of take pause are risk to my crews, risk to the public, or risk to the environment. So I'm balancing those as I build my operation out. But again, it's a little bit probably unsatisfying of an answer because I can't give you an exact date. If this was one property or 5 properties, I could probably give you a date down to the plus or minus 1 day. But there's 12,000-ish properties out there, and there's just a lot of constraints that I can't model in a sort of linear fashion. So.
Yeah, now we understand that the objective was to try to get everybody, block captains, and get them all together at once and give you the ability to have the efficiencies and bandwidth. You have the bandwidth to move forward. I'm going to move into a question that's come up quite a bit, and is it true that the Army Corps of Engineers will not be doing testing of the soil? How are homeowners to manage the environmental safety for not just themselves, but their neighbors? A lot of that question. And then RR, you're going to be up next then, Stephen.
Yeah, so thanks, Larry. It's a great question. We've getting it a lot. And for those savvy listeners that you have online who consume our local media, you've probably read some of the articles lately about this topic. So, I mean, the bottom line is that in this fire, the Army Corps of Engineers is not going to do testing. In fact, FEMA hasn't paid for testing in 7 years for wildfires. Now, that doesn't mean that testing wasn't done. Like, the state might have done it, the county might have done it, other people might have done it, but FEMA hasn't paid for it. You know, one of the challenges with testing is we live in an area that this is not virgin soil, right? This is soil that has a variety of metals in it and other things that are in the soil because they are naturally reoccurring. This land, you know, has been used over the past 200 years for a variety of reasons. So I don't have a baseline of what was there beforehand, but I'm confident that the hazards created by this fire are going, and as they fall down to the ground, you know, are going to be in that ash footprint, and I'm going to remove 6 inches of soil, which I'm confident will take the hazards from this fire. And so this is in conjunction with FEMA and the state. Again, I acknowledge the arguments on both sides. If you were to build a home in LA County right now on a virgin piece of land, you know, as I understand the building permit, you wouldn't be required to test. You wouldn't know what was on that unless you tested on your own. You wouldn't know what was in the soil previously, and that's just the nature of this. The federal authority that I work under, we take it covers the cost of removing the impacts from this fire, you know, not from previous events, not from legacy contaminants, not from naturally reoccurring, you know, minerals and metals that are in the ground. So again,
Let me ask a question and then we're going to go to RR, then Stephen, and then we'll keep going. Everybody, just ask as we've been, and it's going to be a journey. Just be patient. We got plenty of time, and this is a rare opportunity to get direct answers. What is the ash footprint? What defines the ash footprint?
Yeah, so if you think about your structure, right? If you think about how gravity would have pulled your structure and the wind would have pulled your structure down to the ground, right? And it would have landed either on the foundation or around the foundation. That's what I generally call the ash footprint. So if you take go maybe 2 feet outside of where that material fell, and you sort of drew an imaginary line around that space, that's the ash footprint. Now, we're using heavy excavators. This is not like a surgery, right? Where we're going in and making a precision cut. So we're coming around with an excavator to remove the 6 inches of soil where that ash was. And then if you opt in, we're going to pull your foundation to the degree where you're able to. So I get this question this morning. It says, I have a deep basement. Are you going to take my foundation? Well, in this one neighborhood I was in, every home in this row had a deep basement, and there was about 5 feet between the two basement walls, right? When you take everything away, these properties were built essentially property line to property line. And so if I take someone's basement out, I'm going to impact the soil that between the houses, and it will like slough off, which is the sort of technical term. It will slide off into there. And so we don't want to ruin property lines. We don't want to do more harm. So in those cases, we may not take the foundation wall. We won't take a retaining wall. If by taking the retaining wall, the thing that it's retaining will disappear onto the neighbor's property. But generally, if you have a slab on grade, generally if you have a foundation over a basement, or if you have a shallow basement, we don't have those instances. We will do what we can to remove that material. That provides an economic benefit to the owner, who then can use whatever insurance proceeds they have for debris that we don't take.
Okay. Moving into RR, I'm going to unmute you. at ours. Hello?
Thank you. Yeah. My question is about properties that were deferred from phase 1 to phase 2. Many of those, you just mentioned basements, many of those are basement homes. And many of us with basements are looking at not opting in and going to private contractors. So my question here, it's the county has not been at all clear in providing this information. And I'm hoping you can provide some insight into this for properties that were deferred 1 to phase, but are looking at private contracting. What are the steps that these homeowners who opt out will need to take in order to proceed with phase 2? And in particular, the one thing we can see on the county website is the specification that we should apply for phase 2 permits, and I quote, after receiving EPA certification of phase 1 completion of your property.
Yeah.
So how do properties get the EPA certification that the county is saying is required? Where would we look on any website to get this information?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I believe the county has already posted it. Maybe it's not, that'll be out. They have a series of frequently asked questions specifically geared to this process. And if you're a phase 1 deferred, they say phase 2 deferred. I say a phase 1 deferred, right? So if phase 1 wasn't done on your property by the EPA, then if you opt in, then I will do phase 1, phase 2, and then you can clear your lot. If you opt out, then you have to have someone who's certified to come in to test for and remove household hazardous materials. Then you have someone has to come in and test for asbestos, just like I have to do. So that's an asbestos consultant. If we find asbestos, then you have to mitigate the asbestos. Your contractor will have to save all the receipts, all the testing information, and submit that back to the county, along with the tipping receipts from the landfill that they took it to. Because all this is, again, to protect the public health. If if a contractor is bringing lithium ion batteries in a black trash bag to an inappropriate landfill, they will do more harm to the environment in that landfill. So it's all about, it's basically the way the county has written the program is it's the same things I have to do that you'd have to do through a private contractor. And you have to make sure they're essentially licensed to do the type of work they need to do. I have all of that. And that's why if you opt in, you get all of that. I will tell you, I mean, look, I'm not looking for work, but I will tell you that this is probably the best program the federal government offers to have this done if you're in a situation like this.
Thank you. Stephen Braddock. Stephen?
Yes, Colonel. Hi. What evidence do you have to support the claims that that there would be naturally occurring arsenic or lead in high levels? And I still don't understand this refusal to not do soil confirmation testing. It seems like that this is almost a reckless action by the federal government to harm the property values of the Palisades.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that all the chemicals that you mentioned are naturally occurring, but there are naturally occurring metals in the earth, and based on how the earth was formed. I'm also going to say that there are legacy contaminants in the ground, and we do not have a baseline for your property. So I can't say that the day before the fire, this is what was there. I test the day after, this is what was there because of the fire. So we don't know, so we don't prevent. I mean, you're not prevented from doing your own testing. The other thing is, let's say we come in and we were to test, and then we were to move 6 more inches of soil, and then I test, and lead comes back even stronger, and I take 6 more inches of soil, and it comes back even stronger because in the 1900s, someone put a lead drinking water pipe in the ground. They disconnected its use, and then it's still coming up positive because it's still in the soil there. I mean, when now I've taken away 12 or 18 inches of soil for which there's no program, we're tasked under FEMA to remove the fire ash and debris. There's no federal authority to put soil back. So now we've disadvantaged the homeowner for really no real benefit
But Colonel, with all due respect, the Palisades was not existing in the 1850s or the 1900s. And I mean, it seems like a cop out to say that we're not going to do soil testing because of some hypothetical corner case. Are you disputing the data in the Los Angeles Times article where the campfire, there were 12,000 sites and then there was testing and 4,200 of them tested above the federal limits for arsenic and lead?
I was not part of the campfire recovery. I'm not disputing anything to do with the campfire. I don't know.
Okay, we'll come back. I just we need to be able to move to several others. And we will, Stephen, great questions. We'll circle back definitely. And I'm sorry if we're moving it. Combis, you're up.
Great. Sorry, I'm driving, so that's why my camera's off. But Colonel Swenson, thank you so much for what you're doing. Larry, thank you for setting all these up. This is great. I've got a question. I got a daughter that's going to Pali High and a son that's going to start in the fall. They say they're going to be open in the fall on campus. My question is, how does that affect the debris removal with Temescal being the main artery for the debris removal?
I mean, certainly certainly, I guess it would make it challenging. We were actually out there today doing the debris removal on the portion of the school that was damaged. We started today, so we should be done that in the coming weeks, coming week or weeks. We should be done with that, and then it would depend on if the school can get it built fast enough. Will there be impacts? I mean, there's going to be impacts across this area as residents whose homes were not impacted or not destroyed start to reoccupy. There's always going to be impacts on the PCH highway because it's a popular highway in the state and in America, and people like to come and drive on it. All of those things will impact us. We do the best we can to minimize the impacts, and we are authorized to work 24 hours a day. So if we have to do, we have to work sort of different shifts to be able to be as efficient as we can, translated efficient to as fast as we can, then we will. Also, I hope I don't think school probably starts in August or September. Hopefully by August or September, we are well past the halfway point and getting closer to the home stretches, assuming that everyone signs up to do the work. The other piece that was not mentioned is that some people will opt out. And I have no control over the trucks or the methods that someone uses in the opt-out program. They have to pull a permit. They're supposed to follow the same processes, but I have no control over how those individual crews operate their trucks and the congestion that it provides. I can certainly manage and will manage, my operation, and I'm synchronized with the public utilities to make sure that no organization is disadvantaging another to the detriment of the phase 3, which is the rebuilding phase. Right. But great question. Thank you.
Thanks. And Stephen, I'm just gonna say, I sidebarred you. I love your question, your knowledge. We should talk about a subject, doing a Zoom on that alone. Okay. Can you follow up with me, please, Steve? Thanks. Deborah Gribben.
Hi. Thanks very much. My question, there are a few, but they're all the same subject. This is very naive on my part, what does a lot look like once it's been cleared? I'm sure that varies a lot on the houses, but in general. And I wondered whether it might be, if residents are willing, possible to post just a few lots so that we could understand what's coming. And then I also wondered what state it's left in terms of rains coming, and whether mud from the cleared lots would then flood into the streets. Thanks.
I'm going to add to that real quick, Colonel, and it came across. What are the issues potential of groundwater contamination and percolation of water once it hits the lot is either not cleared yet or will be cleared in terms of contamination?
Yeah. So what do lots look like? Well, first of all, I think maybe it was Stephen's point, or one of the points, we are, our authority is to remove the fire ash and debris. And if the owner opts in, to have the foundation removed. So is the lot going to be build ready? No, it's not going to be build ready. You know, if you had deep foundations or deep footers that we had to take out, I mean, you're going to see probably some, I won't say it looks like a waffle, but you're going to see some ground disturbances where the footers were taken out. If you have a multi-tiered house, you know, we're going to try not to ruin the tiering structure, but you know, you're going to see some impacts to that ground. It's not going to be like build ready, but what I've done in other fires that I've been on is that with a little bit of contractor work for the rebuild, maybe they bring in a little bit of soil, they level the lot, get it ready for the new pour, dig the footers and pour the concrete, that the house will be ready. So that's the first thing. The second thing, we put hydro mulch down, similar to what they put on the mountainsides, right? It looks kind of like a greenish color to try to lock the soil in place. And we use best management procedures or practices not dissimilar to what the CCC or the state and the county use for when they're preparing for an atmospheric river, right? So you have all the wattles out, the sock wattles, K-rail type things. We don't use K-rails, but you know, similar type things that we tie into the existing best management practices that either the LA City or the LA County put out.
Okay.
Did I answer all the questions?
Yeah, I'm going to move into one of the written questions. No opt-in for standing homes without 150 square feet of damaged structure. What level of damage is required to the home itself to equal 150 square feet?
Yeah, so normally you're looking at, you know, structures that are significantly partially damaged or fully destroyed. You know, if you had a garage, you know, like a 10 by 12 or something like that garage, that generally would meet the eligibility criteria. The Corps of Engineers does not determine eligibility. You know, we are given the right of entry. We look at the lot. We have some eligibility. There's an eligibility determination made, and then we go out and clear it. So I hear a lot about I have smoke damage. Generally, smoke damage is not eligible damage. If your hedges are burnt, not damaged. Now, if your lot is basically untouched, but you have a burned vehicle, titled property in the front yard, you know, titled property like a car would be included, and you should fill out a right of entry. Again, if your house is basically untouched, but maybe you have a hazardous tree, a tree that was burned, maybe it's, you know, hanging precariously, whatnot, then that could be included, and then you should just fill out a right of entry, and we can go on and remove that hazard. Again, we were brought here to remove the public health and safety hazards that were as a result of this fire event.
Okay, I'm going to ask another question from the community. This is a question being asked by many who are uncertain about engaging the Army Corps. With regard to the Army Corps clearing debris off our lots, we have other debris that will need to be cleaned up that is not in the ash footprint of the home. Will we be permitted to utilize our insurance funds for all of our debris removal, or will engaging the Army Corps automatically take the entire debris sum of our insurance company has allotted us for these services? What is the order of use of permitted use of reimbursement with regard to our debris proceeds? We need to be sure we can clean the whole lot with insurance proceeds.
Yeah, so again, my agency does not collect money for this, right? We are fully funded by the federal government to do this work. But there's a part of the law says it's called duplication of benefits. I'll give you another example of how duplication of benefits works. If you applied for FEMA assistance after the fire and you were denied for housing, it's not because FEMA doesn't want to help you. You were likely denied because you have temporary lodging expenses as part of your insurance policy. So you can't take FEMA's money and temporary lodging expenses at the same time for basically the same hotel room. So if I come on and do the work, I will take Corps of Engineer eligible debris, federally eligible debris. If there's other debris on the property that your insurance company says is eligible debris according to your policy, then the federal government is the last one to recoup their money. So if you spent your entire debris policy on eligible debris that was not USACE eligible, then you shouldn't have to pay anything back. That's what duplication of benefits means. But if the only debris you remove is the debris I remove, you can't take that $100,000 debris policy and have me do the work. That would be a duplication of the benefit for the same debris. That's the nuance. Hope that helps.
Luis? Luis
Oh,
Camp?
yes. Sorry about that. So, so my question is, I know you kind of touched about it, but with those multi-tiered homes that have retaining walls, how are you going to be able to dig away enough, but not damage, the retaining walls, where it's without having to bring in an engineer to say, hey, you dug enough, but you didn't damage it? Or what happens if you guys actually accidentally damage the retaining wall and it comes down? Because we have 2 retaining walls that are tiered up. So we're trying to figure out what happens there.
Yeah, so great question. So we have super competent construction teams working for us who do this kind of work when they build these. So we're here to remove the fire ash debris. If you have a unique situation, you would be what we'd consider a more complex property. We would probably spend a little bit more time on the planning for how we're going to clear the debris off of it. We may need specialized equipment to get in there to be able to do it. I mean, if your house is perched on the side of a cliff, the type of equipment you need to do debris removal there would be different than if you were in a neighborhood, flat, slab on grade, with a 2-car wide driveway. So different ones. We're not trying to do more harm to your property, and we don't take out retaining walls. We may have to hand pick debris at times in order to get the hazards up. It really depends on the lot. And so I encourage you, when you get the call, when you fill out the right of entry, to describe all of those conditions, and then be there on the first day so you can sort of talk to the crew, the site supervisor, about the work that's about to be done.
Excellent. Also, I want to add a point for the entire community this year. We've got an enormous amount. We are Pally Strong. We are PallyStrong.com. Please log in. I'm taking a lot of questions we will get to from that. But it's a team of people that are all residents, me, myself, who are doing this for our residents. So appreciate the accolades. It's not me. It's a group of people, and we all know who we are, and many are out there. So please, thank you all. Shanna, I'm pronouncing that right. You're ready to go.
Hi, yeah, I have a question. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, cool. My question is about, I've seen a lot of parcels getting cleared in the village. I live up in the Highlands. I live in Michael Lane Villas. We're on the Palisades, Michael Lane. And we didn't get burned, but we have a lot of things right next to us in Herradura that's just up the hill from us that gets burned, and it's within 100 yards of us. So, I mean, I know that everybody's talking about the 250 yards. I looked this up on Google Maps. We're within 100 yards, so I'm just looking at, when do you expect to start clearing that? We want to start doing remediation on our house. I'm very sensitive. I went back the other week, and even with like a mask and goggles on, I still have eyes burning. I've had to go to the eye doctor. My throat is burning. I'm like having trouble breathing. Like, I want to be able to get back home as soon as I can, but I don't know when phase 1 will even start, to know when phase 2 will start, to know when it's safe to go back home, so I don't end up with like lung cancer in a year.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I'm sorry, there's a little bit of background noise here. I'm trying to minimize the background noise. So I can't give you an exact date of when we're going to be done with the properties around you. I can assure you we're working it as quickly as we safely can, and it's tied to a couple different factors. One of them being the EPA, one of them being the ROEs from the county. We are working closely with all of our partners. I talk to the county and the EPA every day, and the other piece is just getting residents to sign up. And I sense some hesitation on this call that people are unsure about whether they should, sign up for the Corps of Engineer program or they should do it alone. Hopefully, it's my hope that coming on this call today and being out and talk with the community that people will be able to make an informed decision about what's right for them, and that we'll be able to get out to your lot as quickly as possible, or the ones around you, to remediate that. Certainly, if you're having concerns, health concerns, by being in and around the neighborhood where the homes around you were impacted, certainly I would just say make a personal risk assessment, talk to public health agencies, but don't put yourself in undue health based on your condition. We certainly don't want anyone else to be impacted negatively by this fire. This fire has been horrific for this community, and I would hate for you to find yourself back in your home and then suffer for it while we're trying to get this place, these hazards removed.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Take care of yourself, and also if you need stuff, lean on the community. If you have certain health concerns, please lean on someone else in the community. If you need something desperately from your house, if it's still standing, you need something, lean on the rest of the community. We're all here together, and that's sincere. That happens a lot, that people have reached to me. Can you get this, do that? One of my neighbors is living in Texas. Not about me, but it's like, I'm like, yeah, if you need me to meet a contractor up there, I'll throw on some hazmat stuff and do it. So please, Shannon, lean on our community too. Vienna, you're up.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. And Larry, thank you so much for organizing it. So Colonel Swenson, I have a two-part question. I'm so sorry that about two different things. One, I have a Paul Revere student currently in 8th about to go to Pali High next year. If the whole route is down to Mescal, I just want to kind of pin this down. If the whole route goes down to Mescal, that's going to be, hundreds of trucks daily driving past with the ash past Pali High. I'm just concerned about the health. How would you feel about your kids attending a school right next to a haul route like this?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we removed all of this debris in what we call the wet method. So we wet it down before we move it. So it's not like it's not like a fireplace where there's ash flying everywhere, right? It's all kind of sticky and together. And then as we're scooping it with the excavators, we have hoses on it to keep the dust down, dust or mist, depending on where we're at. So we're very sensitive to that. When it goes in the back of a truck, it is lined in about a 10 mil plastic liner. Think about going to Home Depot or Lowe's and you buy the heavy duty construction trash bags. That's what kind of goes in a liner like that. That liner is folded, what we used to call a burrito wrap, but now we just call it sort of tightly folded. But if you think about your favorite food that you like to eat, nice and tightly wrapped, that's what it gets wrapped. And then each truck has a tarp. On the tarp goes down on top that holds all of that together. And then we safely try to get to, and quickly try to get, using local roads, county roads, state roads, and interstates. We try to get out of the community, get on the interstates where the roads are designed to hold those trucks and to move at a higher rate of speed. And then we get it to a landfill, and then we get back as quickly as we can to get another load. I've been to these before. You are not going to see debris flying off of our trucks. If my kid was going to Pali High, I would be stoked and I would be totally fine with it. I also hope that in 6 months or so, when school starts, that the lion's share of this work is done, and we're not putting we're letting parents sort of be at ease because we've done the majority of the work.
Amazing. And then my second question, I'm so sorry,
Sure.
is, and I've seen this a bunch actually in the chat. We signed up, our block is pretty active. We live in the alphabets and we're trying to cluster. A lot of us signed up day one for right of entry. And when I called in yesterday, because I looked on that form, it didn't say that it had been entered and had accepted. We hadn't uploaded anything at that point when I called in yesterday and said, should I file another ROE form? And she said, don't, because then it's a duplicate. They'll contact you. But I'm just scared that we're kind of in a limbo, we're in a no man's land, because we didn't update those forms. Originally, they weren't uploaded with everything proving that we owned our house and what have you. Yeah, I'm just wondering if we should.
I guess my advice would be that the county has not forgotten you. They may not have gotten to you yet. They're working through any of the ones that are sort of what I guess you'd call frustrated or sort of not incomplete, probably not to no fault of your own, but are incomplete. And they're working very hard to get those. I wouldn't submit another one because you're just going to create, more work, and you might, you might slow the process down. I do know the folks that are working there, and they are working around the clock. They're good. They're good people working around the clock, and I think you'll start seeing some movement here soon. I think and I put the link to our website in the chat. You can go to that website and type in your address and sort of keep track of how it's going.
Thank you so much. Thank you also for being here. I really appreciate this.
Yeah. Fabian?
Hi, so I have a quick question. I'm going to make it as generic as possible. I understand you may not clear driveways. So can you share with us the steps we would have to go through in order to get a clean lot? So for instance, will ACE clear the lot, then we will submit an estimate to the insurance for additional debris removal. That's step 2. Then there is the additional debris removal. And then 4th step, the ACE gets its, the rest of the money. Is that the way it's going to work?
Well, so first of all, the Corps of Engineers doesn't. Our funds are fully funded by FEMA. The only reason that the county would collect any money is if you had a debris specific policy, like a debris specific line item in your insurance policy. And so if you have a debris specific line item, like it says, let's say you have $1 million policy and it says $100,000 for debris, and there's 13,000-ish homes that were impacted. There's 13,000 unique insurance policies. So I don't know what all of yours says, but let's just, in round numbers, $100,000. If the only debris you have removed from your property is the debris that I take, then the county will ask for that debris line item, as opposed to being paid out to you, it would be paid out to the county. If you had $50,000 in other work that you needed to do that your insurance company said is authorized debris, then you could use that money on that, and then the county will be the last person to get their money.
Excellent question.
And again, if you have questions, I'd reach out to the county. They can explain this, or your insurance company should be able to explain it as well.
And perhaps I think we need to do a separate one just with the county on exactly how, there's a lot of questions, insurance, cash flows, pools, et cetera. Colonel, by the way, we got you till 5, right?
Sure.
Just want.
I work for you. I work for you.
Nah, we're a team, man. We're a team. We appreciate you so much from the heart, and we're all in this together. We're together for a year, so lots of coffee. Lynn McCostello.
Thank you, Lawrence, for doing this, and thank you, Colonel, for your time trying to calm all of our nerves a little bit about this. My question is, you were talking earlier about the tree removal. Do we know who authorizes where the felled trees are being taken? There have been repeated illegal dumpings of hundreds of tons on the parking lot of the Pacific Palisades Presbyterian Church, which was totaled in the fire. And it's destroying the lot. It's impairing our ability to clear the lot and creating a highly dangerous situation.
Yeah, that's a great question. That is not my crew. Those are not my crews. The contractor, it's a federal contract, and the federal contractor has to, as part of the federal contract, the contractor has to remove that to an authorized green waste facility. So we work with Cal Recycle and LA County to get to either a green waste facility or a landfill that has a separate section that's for green waste, where then it's turned into mulch and essentially composted. But no, we will not just randomly dump it on the side of a church parking lot. That is not us.
Somebody has, and one of your subcontractors actually wants to lease the lot, but there's nothing we can lease to you right now.
Okay, so let's I'll take that down. I don't know who put that debris there. That's the church has the big bell tower, which is burned. Is that the one?
You've got the one, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I drove by it the other day.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I'll
take
any
a
help
look.
would be appreciated.
Excellent. Let me go to Robert. brief. Robert?
Hi, thank you for taking my question. Going back to the ash footprint, if we have concrete patios, for example, or sidewalks in the back of our houses that butted right up against the house, is that considered part of the ash footprint where you'll be tearing out that, basically thinner layers of concrete near the house?
Yeah, it's not normally, it's not usually eligible debris. We don't do flat work. So what we would do if it was integral to your foundation, we would take a concrete saw and we would just cut it, and then we'd pull the foundation piece back, but we would leave the flat work.
Understood.
Patios,
Thank you.
driveways, etc. And we don't do pools either. So if you had a pool that was, if the pool was sort of integral to the ash footprint, we would just kind of, same thing, we'd cut around it, take the foundation out, we'd hand pick the debris out. If the pool was like in the backyard, not attached to the ash footprint, then it wouldn't be eligible. So we wouldn't touch that. We would put a fence up around pools or basements, and they're chain link fences, but they're not permanently into the ground. They're just on little metal tees that hold them in place, like you'd have at a construction job site, just so that someone inadvertently doesn't fall in a pool or fall in a basement.
Sam?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to Pally Strong for doing this, and thank you, Colonel, for all the work that you guys are doing. I appreciate it very much. I have a standing home, and just a question about the schools. Will the schools be cleared sooner than later so that we can get to work on getting our homes back together and the lots around homes that are standing?
Yeah, so we hope to have the schools done here in the next couple of weeks. Pally High will be the first one, and the Palisade side that's done, and then we're working on the final contract action for the other two that are part of that program. The Pally High is a little tricky because there's certain sections that burned and certain sections that didn't, so we have to kind of work around that. But we are, and then we have to do, obviously we'll do asbestos testing. If we find asbestos, then we have to do the remediation for the asbestos first, and then do the debris removal.
Oh, do you have one more question? Sam, do you have another follow-up to that?
Yeah, the follow-up is we're at Marquez School, which was completely decimated. What is the thoughts on that campus?
I don't know I don't know off the top of my head. I know one of the other schools was partially damaged, right? It has one building still standing, the other building is completely damaged. I haven't been by Marquez, so I don't know. I can't speak from experience. I just know that it's on our list to get the contract out and get a contractor working on it. It just hasn't. It's not there today, but it's a priority. Yeah. We've got a deep bench.
Okay. Next one, Valerie, Resilient Palisades.
Hi, thank you. Okay, so you mentioned that there was another contractor that was moving trees. So that's part of our concern for the Palisades Forestry Committee, that there's trees that are being unnecessarily removed without having the proper qualifications. Given that there's also no soil testing, we'd like to have a streamlined communication within the community. We have qualified arborists, we have qualified soil scientists that could help. You mentioned that some of these trees are going to be moved over through CalRecycle for possible mulching. There's known EPA studies that mulching and compost actually help remediate and break down hydrocarbon toxins. So will the Army Corps of Engineers work with the community to help remediate and get us back on track in a healthy, livable future?
Yeah, I think to the ability we can, we will. We're putting the hydro mulch back on the lots as erosion control for each lot. I don't know who cut the trees. I know that in the early days, like 12, 13, 14, January, there were, as the utility companies and public works were back in communities trying to get the right of ways cleared, there were some trees being taken down. I don't know if that, I don't know if that's who was cutting those trees. Also, again, for people who opt into my program, I control all of my subcontractors, right? I own them all. If you hire if you opt out and hire your own contractor, I'm guessing as to what their schedule is, how many trucks they're going to have, what the qualifications are for their employees. I just don't, I mean, I'm not saying they're not qualified. I don't know, and I can't control them, and what trees they take on someone's property.
I'm going to move into some questions from the field. How can homeowners find out well in advance what on our lot will not be considered phase 2 ACOE eligible for removal, so we can have it cleared privately using insurance coverage before ACOE does their work on our lot? No obvious things like pools or significant retaining walls, but trees, walkways that may be removed by you, but we'd like to know we'd like to know in advance if they will or not be done, they want to know more than 3 days in advance if possible.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I don't have the list in front of me, but basically burn structures that are 120 square feet or greater counts. That's sheds, garages, homes. We do not do flat work, so patios, pavers. If you have rocks around ringing a tree, we wouldn't do those. We don't take out the root structure, so we will take the tree, but we don't take out the roots for a whole variety of reasons. One of them I think is that as was already stated, that tree roots play a vital role in soil stability. So we'd want to make sure that you'd want to take that out. If you're going to take that out for your rebuild, that you take it out just before your rebuild, and then you have your own best management practices in place to make sure that your soil stays where it's supposed to be. We don't take out retaining walls. We don't take out pools. We don't take out fences. Now, if your fence burns and you have a few fence posts on the ground that are burnt and charred, I mean, if they wind up in the ash footprint, we'll take them, but we're not going to go take them from the property line, so to speak. If your chimney's left standing, we take chimneys. I think I covered most of it. And then hazard trees, again, if it's a hazard tree that's risks public safety, then we'll take it. Titled property as well. So cars, boats, trailers, titled property, we'll take that as well. And that gets recycled. Unless it's fiberglass, then it gets treated as fire ash and debris.
Bennett, Wolin.
Hey, Colonel, thank you so much for taking our questions. My question was, I know there's a lot of people who are very engaged. They're on Zooms, they're on WhatsApps. What about property owners who are sort of MIA, who may not know about opting in or not doing, figuring out private cleanup? What happens to those properties
Yeah. So great question. So the suspense to sign up for the right of entry program or to opt out of the program is the 31st of March. I've talked to my colleagues at the county, and they're looking at this very closely. They obviously hope that everyone either opts in or opts out. But to your point, there is no third option, right? There's no do nothing option. And I've heard elected officials say that they're going to use the law to ensure that people remove this public health hazard from the community in a timely manner. What exactly that looks like, I don't know. I used to tell people in previous fires that I'll have tea with them and I will try to convince them of the merits of the program, build rapport with them, bring them in, and then hopefully convince them that this is the right program for them, or convince them that they need to opt out. But I don't think this county, and I don't think the city of LA will let, or Malibu or whatever, will let people do nothing. That's not an option. So I think the best thing you can do to help me and help the community, help yourself, is to try to reach out to these people. I've been trying to reach out to the seniors that may be displaced, that don't have kids or younger folks around them, to help them navigate this process. I can only imagine how challenging this is for seniors, because I've helped seniors before through this process. So if you have any access to people who may be on an island somewhere, unable to plug in to what's going on, let Larry know, let me know. I'd love to meet them at their hotel in the morning and have breakfast with them and talk to them about the merits of the program, or have dinner with them, or have coffee with them, or tea, whatever it takes to hopefully give them the information they need to make an informed decision.
And let me add to this. Feel free to give my phone number out directly to anybody in that category. And if not me, somebody from the Pally Strong group will reach out to them. We do not only are concerned that they understand the elements of the ROE and that what it entails and what they have to do, but we're also concerned that they're in a place where they feel lost. They're just confused. So please, if you have neighbors that are in that field, lean on the community, and we're here. We're all together for this. So you've got my number a million times over, and the group of us are there. I'm pronounced Curzon. Hey.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for all these efforts. I've got two questions. The first one is with regarding the ROE. I've seen in the chat here that some other people have also submitted the ROEs, but when we go on the website link that you just published today in this chat, it actually says that the ROE has not been received yet. So what should we do in this case?
Yeah, so unfortunately, you just have to sit and wait a little longer.
So wait like a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, a week or two.
Mhm.
I think we're going to see a lot more of those coming to me. The problem is the county has to verify everyone's that they are the rightful owners. They have to check the deed and some other documentation, because if someone impersonates you as the owner and submits the right of entry, and I do the work, and you come back and realize that you own the property, and then I'm done a federal taking, right? And that's a violation of sort of your personal property rights. So we have to have the document signed by the owner saying that we expressly give the Corps of Engineers and their contractors the right to be on your property for the purposes of private property debris removal. It's a process. It's always like this in these fires. It'll pick up quickly. It's just got to get you just got to get the system going. So next question.
David's iPhone, you're up.
Larry, I think you did have another question too.
Oh,
we can
sorry.
go back to
Okay, sorry, I've got two people.
Great, thank you. So if I understood correctly, it's not received by the Army Corps of Engineers, but it might well have been okay, perfect. My second question is you just gave more details on what you are and aren't removing. So with the flat work, as you call it, is there any possibility that one can get a private contractor to go and remove the flat work so that when you guys then come in, you do your part and what you're not removing has already been done? Or is that just going to make your process right? Because we haven't got a timing on when you will arrive, and it's that 3 to 5 day window with a phone call. I'm just not sure how to go about that.
Yeah, I would recommend that you wait till we get there. I say that for a couple of reasons. One of them is having flat work allows us to park our trucks on it and our equipment on it, and it gives us a flat place to work to more efficiently load the fire debris on it, and then you'd come and have it removed. If you remove all that, then we're working on dirt, which it's not the end of the world, but it's easier to back a dump truck onto a flat driveway than it is on dirt, given the climate here. So.
All right, David's iPhone.
Yes, it's a two-part question. I've heard reports from private contractors that they've had difficulty in identifying dump sites, number one, and number two, identifying exactly what needs to be done to sort of mimic what ACE is doing. So two questions. One is, what are the sites? Can you identify some that independent contractors can go to dump? And two, will you be publishing a form, a checklist for independent contractors to follow so that they do exactly what ACE does?
So I would direct you to the county. The county has posted, or is I think it was released on Thursday. I haven't checked back, but I was told that their alternate program or opt-out program was released, and it had those specifics. There are some FAQs. I did see them. I haven't gone to the website to figure out exactly where they're posted, but there were some FAQs talking specifically about what are the steps do opt out, and then it's what are the steps to opt out if you're phase one deferred, or if you're opting out just for phase two. So that it's out there. I would reach out to the county to get that information. And I forget what your other question was. I'm sorry.
My second question was, what are the dump sites that independent contractors can go to? And I have a follow-up about your last response.
So dump sites. So, we work with the county and Cal Recycle to identify certified and permitted landfills and recycling centers around the community to be able to bring fire ash and debris, recyclables, green waste, et cetera, too. So I don't know how that will work with private contractors.
Well, I think the issue is they don't know the sites. They need to be told what the sites are for them to go to, number one. And then in response to your previous question, I would implore you to please put out a checklist that ACE is doing, because the left hand and the right hand sometimes don't say the right things, say the same things. And so we would like comfort to know that our people, the independent contractors, are doing exactly what ACE is doing. And only ACE knows that.
Okay. Yeah, the county took this on. This was theirs. I will talk to them about making sure that information is out. And again, I have my program, and they modeled their alternate program, their opt-out program, off of ours, so they know our program. But I need you to get it not from me. I need you to get it from the county.
So
or by extension, LA City.
So the thoughts are maybe we should look at doing, for the people who are doing the private contractors, and for whomever asked the question, sorry, moving through so many, please DM me. Maybe we need to do a Zoom specifically with the county saying, okay, for private contractors, how are you addressing this? How are you interfacing with the Army Corps of Engineers to ensure that these independent agent organizations that are working on behalf of the people are following the protocols the right way? Make sense? Okay, so yeah, I mean, there's so much that, and it's true, it's so much the Colonel can do. He's staying in his lane on the work that he's given to do, and those other ones are darn good questions, trying to keep left hand and right hand together. And that's what these Zooms are about, is getting the information in a very constructive way, in a very, level-handed way to say, these are our concerns. Let me go to Carol's iPhone.
The county, if you have a line item on your insurance for debris removal, and you have a driveway and things like that to remove, when would the county try to come after that line item?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly the county's timeline. I do know that the government generally takes their money last, right? They recoup last, and it's based on a duplication of benefits. So I didn't say it earlier, but I'd recommend, this may sound like common sense, but I would just recommend it again. You keep a journal of everything that you've done with a date and time stamp on every page. You take pictures of everything you do. You record every conversation you've had with your insurance agent or with the county or whatever, and you save every receipt. And I probably would photocopy every receipt. If you hire a contractor to do work, make sure it's on the contractor's letterhead, and there's a bill, and just like you would for a reimbursable expense through your business, right? Just keep all those documents so that you can prove after the fact. This could take a year, it could take 2 years, it could take 3 years for that sort of accounting to occur.
Okay, I am going to move into some of the questions that have been posted. And if this is a repeat, apologies, tracking. Will there be an ACOE map like EPA now that shows the phase 2 progress? Where are you working currently? What street block are you on? And where are they going next week? What are your thoughts? Do we push this through the politician's office to get a better map? What's the plans for tracking?
So we have a map. I just sent the list. It's in the chat. There's a link to it. It doesn't have the details that maybe that you're looking for. Again, we're building out crews. Each crew will have a runway. A runway is essentially like a batting order. that says these are the next, these are the 10 homes that are next for this crew. So crew number 1 might have 10 homes that it's going to work on. And ideally, if neighborhoods have signed up, then, crew 1 might be in Highlands, East Side Highlands, and maybe crew 2's in West Side Highlands, and crew 3's in North Side Highlands. I'm just using it as an example. And then there's, houses that are in that street or in that immediate neighborhood are assigned to that, that crew. And that crew will just stay there until all those are done. And then when they're done, if all the homes are done, then we'll move that crew to a different neighborhood to augment a different neighborhood so they can get done. That's kind of how we envision this happening. But we are not, again, we're not waiting till we get neighborhoods to start, right? We are starting as we speak. There are crews out doing debris removal for residential property in both the Eaton fire impacted area and the Palisades fire impacted area. And it's only going to get more exciting as we get more crews out there.
More crews and more REOs together and get them cleared through the county. So, as you pursue your work, certainly as a community, you can tell, we're really tight and bonded. The question will always be, what can we do better? How can we help in a sense? I know you're working, but if we need to put pressure to get those REOs processed faster by the county, let us
I don't know if, it's a great question, Larry. I think if I was a member of this community, and by default today I'm a member of this community, right, with my Pally Strong sweatshirt on, I would say the county's working as fast as they can. I don't think they need any more pressure. They feel the pressure. I think the biggest thing you can do is just reach out through your network, find your neighbors, talk to them. If they have questions, ask them, have you signed an ROE? And if they say no, are you planning on signing an ROE? If they say, I don't know what an ROE is, then, probably need to invite them in, give them a glass of tea, talk to them about the right of entry process, about opting in and opting out. Again, I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. I will tell you, this is probably the best federal program that around in terms of the savings to homeowners who are at their lowest and need to make their dollar go as far as they can. This is the program. Is it ideal? No. Could someone do it faster on their own? Maybe. Could someone do it cheaper on their own? Maybe. If you find asbestos, will you wish you had hired the Corps? Probably. I don't know. If you find lithium-ion batteries, will you wish you had hired the Corps? Probably. Because those are all things that are more expensive to handle. And doing the easy thing, the easier wrong, right? By just throwing them in a black contractor bag and forgetting about them and putting them in a landfill will endanger the community for the long term, which is not helpful either. So it's a long answer to a short question. Apologize.
Karen Juncosa.
Hi. So I own a property. It's the building at Via de la Paz and Sunset. It's 107 units. So I'm just curious on how you are clearing those types of properties, the multi-unit properties. The building actually was put into the deferred to phase 2 at one point, and then it got sent back to phase 1. So perhaps you can clarify how you're going to go about that, and if you are clearing the multi-unit properties. Thank you.
So that's a great question. I think each of those multi-unit properties is on a case-by-case basis. So you need to work with the county. We need to get an eligibility determination. It all depends on is it a condo where everyone is on the deed? Everyone who owns a condo is on the deed, or is it more like a hotel or apartment where you own the apartment but maybe not the land beneath it? Larry, can you unmute Karen?
It is Karen. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry.
There we go. So it's condominiums. Everybody owns 107th. So yes, we all collectively own the land, and we individually each own our own unit.
So you'd have to, if it's deemed eligible, you'd have to have all 107 people fill out a right of entry. And then usually the homeowners association or the condominium association would fill out a right of entry. And if it's deemed eligible, then once all of those are turned in, the county will then give us the master right of entry, which is like, the key that unlocks, because I can't take down one 107th of ash, right? That's impossible. So we get all of it, and then we would remove it, and then it would be the same process. But the first thing you need to do is determine if you're eligible for the program. So I would contact the county for eligibility, and then if you are, I'd work diligently to get all of your community members rallied around this program, and usually those properties go pretty quickly. The footers are usually the hardest part, but we bring in giant equipment to take care of the footers.
So even more complicated, there's 40 units that are still standing, and the whole structure was built on top of the garage, and the garage is still standing. The garage is essentially kind of like the foundation.
Yeah, I didn't think you were giving me an easy one, so.
No, this one's not.
No.
Why we brought you here, Colonel.
Yeah, we've done tough ones before.
Okay.
We figure we hire companies that do this to build those. So if you can build one, you can deconstruct it. But I think the key thing is you have to get we need the eligibility determination. And while you're trying to get that, I would just encourage everyone to sign up so you start that process in parallel.
Good. All right. Carl, let's move on. I see you. Bring it in, Carl.
All right, thanks. I'll try to keep this quick. I know you mentioned that you've been using local arborists. Are they track qualified? When is urban forestry going to be allowed to address the street trees? And do you have involvement with street trees? Will construction fencing be allowed to put up around the trees for the critical root zone to protect them? And have you responded to the CFAC letter yet that was sent out days ago?
That's a lot of questions. All right, CFAC letter. I did see the letter. I think we're working on the draft response right now. Track qualified. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know. I wrote that down as a note. I need to figure out what that qualification is. The answer is I don't know. In terms of being able to put up sort of barriers around the root bulbs, I don't know. We don't do right-of-way trees. So the county or the city has the right-of-way mission, right? So they're the ones that would do right-of-way trees. We do trees that are on the property. So it's a little bit different. So the county will have its own arborist out there. So I'd reach out to the county if you're talking about roads right along the right-of-way to see what their plan is, or the city. Sorry, I guess you're probably LA City. So ask LA City or LA County, depending on or Malibu, depending on where the property is located.
Okay. Another question. If a house is not burned, but smaller outer buildings on the property are burned and destroyed, and trees, how is its eligibility determined?
Yeah, so I would fill out a right of entry. Generally, there's an eligibility determination made between the county and FEMA. I think the minimum is like 120 square feet or a tree or a titled property. So they'll come out, they'll do an eligibility determination to make sure that it's eligible. And if it is, they will remove it. Your house will not be, obviously, if your house is ineligible, we won't remove your house. We remove your garage or if you had a large shed or something.
Okay, seeing if there's other hands there. If you have a question, I need you to repost it. One-man operation at this end too. I don't have an army yet of Corps of Engineers behind me, but I've been asking the Colonel for a few loaners. So paste some of your questions. I've got some of them. And someone wrote, please recognize others, but I believe we've asked those questions. Is there any new, I will come back to those because we have a little bit more time remaining. Repost your questions if you could. I've gone through quite a few. We've had one heck of a amount of data points coming out of this meeting, thank God. And thank you, Colonel, once again. Will there be a public map? Yes. We're going to get the public, they're working on that. Our property has a red paper notice marked unsafe. Almost all of the homes on Las Casas have EPA phase 1 completed, but others do not. Does the red notice impede EPA phase 1 from being completed? And if so, does this mean we'll be deferred to phase 2? Can we also lean into that discussion perhaps you and I had of ostensibly your 3 phases of walls still standing on a property versus what happens after you remove those walls, what you're tasked to do, and then the
Yeah.
follow-up.
So red tag, that was put on by the county, the building inspector, or the city building inspector came out in the immediate aftermath of the fire, and basically it was a way to tag homes, whether they were 50% or more destroyed, or 15 to 50%, or less than 10%, I think, whatever their breakdown. They had a breakdown. So those are not our tags. The EPA doesn't necessarily look at those tags. EPA is looking at, is there overhead obstacles? Are there basements and things that are preventing them from getting into that so they to do their job? So if you have a deep basement and no way to get down there, then they can't check for household hazardous materials. If you had some overhead structure, they're not going to put their employees under an overhead structure that could be unstable due to the fire. So they'll defer that property. So EPA is either, the three statuses are either not yet completed or incomplete, meaning they haven't gotten there. Phase one complete, meaning they've done their phase one job and they're done, or phase one deferred, or they call it phase two deferred, but really they're deferring phase one for the core. And so if it's a phase one deferred to me, and I have a right of entry, then I give that to my contractor and they do a 3-step process. The first step is make safer, right? So for those properties that have overhead, maybe have like 2 or 3 standing walls or some overhead superstructure, we'll go in and we'll reduce all of that overhead, those overhead hazards. Then we will go on and we will do phase one, household hazardous materials. We will do what the EPA does. We do that. We may do it in conjunction with the EPA or have them pick up the material, but essentially we're doing it. And then we do phase two, which is the debris removal. So, it's sort of one operation done in sort of 3 distinct steps to get rid of the household hazardous materials safely, and then first to remove the overhead obstacles, to get rid of the household hazardous material, and then to get rid of the fire ash and debris and any foundational work that needs to come out, and hazard trees.
Buzz, you're up. Buzz?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Thanks, Colonel. I appreciate your time. And I'm curious, the homes that are straddling the ocean along PCH, what's the timeline for clearing those, and how does that procedure differ from what we've been talking about?
Well, in every fire we're faced with unique challenges. So the Palisades area is no stranger to unique challenges. I call them my sides. That's coast side, hillside, cliffside, seaside, riverside, right? So you got kind of all of them here, and those are usually they were at once beautiful, cool houses, intricately pinned to the earth, but then when they have a fire, they become more challenging to remove. So those are in our most of those in our complex bucket. I would love nothing more than to get all of the homes in Malibu or on the PCH highway signed up for my program and to start working on those. The reason why is because, as everyone knows here, PCH highway has a special place in everyone's heart, right? Whether you grew up driving there, you like to drag race there as a kid, you think it's a beautiful view, whatever the case may be. If you're the Corps of Engineers, you think of it as a great highway to rapidly move fire ash and debris from getting it from an uncontrolled environment to a controlled environment. So if I have to work on PCH highway and put trucks on PCH highway and compete with civilian traffic on PCH highway, that's a lot of traffic on PCH highway. So if I can get those done along the highway, then I have less of an impact on the highway. I just need to use it for the vehicles, not the vehicles and the debris removal, if that makes sense. So we are very interested in getting those. Plus, they are a high priority because they are right on the coast, and that debris, we want that debris not to fall into the ocean, but to be removed from an uncontrolled environment to a controlled environment as quickly and safely as possible.
Excellent. iPhone 6, and then we're going to take one more phone after that, because it's been almost a 2-hour run for the Colonel, more or less. So iPhone 6.
Yes. Thank you for all you do, Colonel Swenson. I was wondering, what is your sense of the probability of success if homeowners lobbied the state and local authorities for test confirmation post debris removal of the soil?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Do you think it's a lost cause?
I think it's, first of all, if I was in your shoes, I'm not sure what the test would help me, what problem I'd be understanding and solving from it. I mean, if I were to build a home today in some piece of ground somewhere, I wouldn't do soil testing.
Right, but we're talking about after this event. You're saying that the removal of 6 inches will do it. Some people find it more comforting if there's a test that confirms that. It was done in prior fires. It's not been done, I guess, in recent years and will not be done in this case. So my question is, to the extent it was done before, there was some merit in doing it, and
I think it, again, I don't discount the concern that you have. I mean, I'm not challenging your concern. You know, I'm a father of 3 girls, you know, and I want my kids like you do, your kids or grandkids, to grow up in a place that's, you know, free from harms. I honestly, I think the greatest harm right now is the fact that, you know, there are uncontrolled hazards on these lots, and we need to quickly and safely get them removed. 6 inches of soil, I am confident, will help, will accomplish that task. And I want nothing more than to execute that quickly, safely, and allow this community to rebuild. That's what I'm committed to. I'm not a politician. I'm not a decision maker. I'm here to, I was brought here from Minnesota to help this community recover. And, you know, as Larry will attest, or any of you I've talked to on the streets attest, I am all in to get this debris removed so that you can rebuild.
Excellent.
That's probably unsatisfying because I didn't quite answer your question, but.
I'm sorry, I hit that. We're going to hit one more question from the audience. Is there any, so from your experience in doing this at several locations before, is there any historic data that you've seen or know about in terms of the foundations after a fire? Several owners believe they have a chance to afford a rebuild, want to rebuild. And by the way, we've done some looks ourselves. The vast majority of our community does want to stay and rebuild. They believe they have a chance to maintain their foundations and are still stable. Does the USACE debris removal, I guess the issue is really getting into what is the conditions of your experience of the foundation stability. The removal has no process for owners to partially clear a burned building or to allow for structural engineers to perform testing. Can you speak about the thoughts on that? Several, yeah. So let's go with that.
I'll take that one. So I think if you ask most maybe structural engineers who do work on fire damaged foundations, they would caution against using a fire damaged foundation. It can change the sort of the strength and chemistry of the brick. I've never done this. I have not done a random controlled trial to put various bricks in a fire and see, you know, what the strength is before and after. I just go by what, you know, people who do this for a living tell me. I also know that in the state of California, especially after the 93 earthquakes, right, 93 earthquakes, that the building codes have rapidly changed and have been improved ever since. So, and building permit agencies, code departments have strict rules for being able to rebuild. So if you think your foundation is savable, you know, I think you should, you know, I would recommend to you to find a structural engineer or someone with that skill set to clean off portions of your, you know, brush off portions of your foundation and do some core samples and be able to tell, you know, what it is. And then based on that, I would also ask the building department or the code department, you know, given where I live and the age of my foundation and the fact that it's been through a fire, will you even issue me a building permit if an engineer tells me that it is structurally sound, and a builder who says that he or she is willing to build on it. And if the answer to all of those questions is yes, then we will do everything we can to clean your foundation without impacting it. I will tell you that some of these homes, the debris is large, and our equipment is appropriately sized to the job that we're doing. And so our equipment could cause incidental damage as we do private property debris removal. So it's not a guarantee. So I mean, that's the best. I don't want to tell everyone. I don't want to tell everyone what the answers to the question are, the answers to the test are. I don't know what the answer is for your specific scenario, but the way the county has written the right of entry, it gives owners or property owners, flexibility to make an informed decision about it. And so again, I'm here to help you. I want to bring the federal dollar to you to help you recover so that you can get back on your feet. But I want you to also make an informed decision about that. And I want you to be comfortable with the decision that you're making.
Excellent. So I want to say, first of all, on behalf of the Pally Strong organization, which is the community, it's all residents. This has been a long one. We asked the Colonel to come in for about an hour or so to answer questions. He came in early, so it's been a long day. It's been a straight conversation from the bottom of our hearts, the community. We really appreciate you. Several questions may not have been answered. Some we did a lot we got to today, which is actually just fantastic. We appreciate your directness, your straight talk, letting us know where it's at. It's refreshing, 30, 40 days into this, not getting direct answers or just getting, general statements. This has been monster. I mean, it's been great. So we really appreciate you. We appreciate what you're doing. We thank you for being here for us tremendously. And, I wanted to bring our sponsor in. This guy, he's sponsoring the event today. He's been sitting on the sidelines. That's Constantine, my little one. And we appreciate, we know you're doing everything you can so we can get back into our houses. So personally for us, we can walk up and down, Chastain Lane up in the Summit area and get back to our homes safely. So appreciate it. To the community, sign up for wearepallystrong.com. We're going to get the recordings up there. We are you. We represent, we are one same team together. Right. And this is reality. Just, you got the drop screen, but sitting here in a hotel room. To the community out there, this is a tremendous turnout. I'm so happy that everybody's been here. We're going to do more of these. We're going to shoot for doing a couple of them a week, if possible. Nothing's perfect. What I like about this is we're grassroots. Lights fall, babies cry, and things happen. So do feel free to put forth those seminars, those Zooms that you want to see happen. Targeting ones from this sounds like we need to do maybe one on just the intricacies of an REO. What does it mean? We need to get somebody maybe from the forestry department to come out and give some opinions and thoughts on that. That's not necessarily perhaps, the wheelhouse of the Army Corps if they're doing the work. And again, I'm not trying to move in any direction. I'm saying sounds like there's questions that are out there. Bring it to all of us. Let's keep these things going. I want to, again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This was tremendous. Questions are rolling. I'm pings and the thank yous. This is beneficial. I got information I didn't get before. People, I think ultimately there are several people and many people who will sleep better tonight having answers they just didn't have before. So Colonel, thank you. You've got a great team. Had a chance to meet many of them. So
thanks, Larry. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward as we get out. You'll see me out and about your community, and I look forward to meeting many of you in person. If you see me on the street, please, stop by. You can give me your hard questions. I'm happy to take them. Again, you might not always like the answer I'm going to give you, but I'm going to give it to you straight. And just know that from the bottom of my heart, I feel for every homeowner, every property owner who lost their home in the devastating wildfires that started on the 7th of January, 2025. And just know that the Corps is committed. As I've said it many times, I don't treat you as a customer or client, right? I treat you as a partner. I want to walk with you. And I've told Larry, I will carry you if that's what it takes to get you to the finish line and get you rebuilt. If I do carry you, I will ask you to send me an invite to your grand opening of your new home so I can celebrate with you. That's a small ask. Anyway.
That's going to happen. You're family now. We appreciate you being there for us. All right. Anyways, wishing you all to the Pally Strong community a wonderful night. We'll get to all these questions. This is the beginning. It's not the finish line tonight. So seriously, happy Valentine's to everybody who celebrated it. If you didn't, go have some fun tonight. Take a break. Put on a good movie. It's been a long journey. And again, from the entire community to the community, love to you all. Thank you, Colonel. Appreciate you. Night.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks.